You are now listening to Fight Life Unfiltered. All right, brother.
What's up?
It's been too long.
Yeah, too long.
Seems
I
like it's
like,
been an eternity. It's only been like 2 weeks.
yeah, we've been busy.
A lot of fucking shit has happened
A
in two
lot of shit has
weeks.
happened. So what? I mean, when was the last time we talked? Would have been November 3rd.
Yep. Yeah, it was the weekend before the world changed with the election.
Yeah,
A lot of wild shit, brother. I was actually leaving here listening to JD Vance talking to Rogan, and I was like, man, this world is just getting wild. And then fucking fights, got Jon Jones.
yeah,
That happened. I wish we could have done a fight companion, but we'll have to do one of those in the
yeah.
future.
We'll definitely do one in the future. I'm excited for that. That'll be really cool. I think, just being able to break stuff down and like look at it live and be able to talk with it. I'm really excited.
Yeah, we got to
Um,
bring some wild personalities into that too.
yeah, for sure. I got some people in mind. I
Yeah,
think would be a fun time.
you got
Yeah.
like an Eddie Bravo that we can bring in.
I don't
I mean,
know.
Max might be the Eddie Bravo talking all this blasphemy about Jon Jones
Ma
not being the GOAT,
Max
but
Max Gerald,
yes,
dude, yeah. I don't know what he's thinking. Yeah, he commented on our post. So I posted, "Is Jon Jones the GOAT?" Right? I thought I was gonna get consensus.
I was a little
So
shocked that it was even 80-20.
yeah, so we got like a couple people that said no, right? Max, I reposted and tagged him, and he was like, just went on a rant, and it just made no sense. What he I don't know what he's thinking.
Do you take, when you think of that question, who's the GOAT, right? Do you take personal character, all
No.
that stuff into consideration? I don't personally look at that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not asking who's the best role model.
Yeah, you're not asking who my favorite fighter is. Jon Jones isn't my favorite fighter of all time. Skill wise, he's probably up there. But like if you put personality and stuff and everything, no. But if you're talking skill for skill, he's the best fighter of all time.
I don't even think it's close.
I don't think it's close at all. I think the only person that you could argue skill for skill with is maybe Demetrius Johnson, but I think winning at a heavier weight class is just like, and for a longer period of time against better people,
Yeah.
Jon Jones is just far and away the best fighter of
Who
all
did he
time.
lose to, DJ, when he went to
Henry.
one? So he lost to Henry, but then he lost in one
Oh, he
as
got
well.
kneed with that
Yeah.
like weird, like would have been illegal in the UFC or
Yeah.
kicked or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know who he lost to.
I mean, because there's skill, right? Like we've talked in the past, like combine, right? I think DJ is up there, and maybe even like if you were to look at like who shows the best as far as skill and ability, he's up there for me. But when you get in that cage, and you know this, I mean, I think this is one of your skill sets: composure,
Yeah.
mentality. Like Jon Jones doesn't have a weakness. And everybody said like Stipe looked old and slow. I honestly thought Stipe looked pretty good until he realized that there's too many things coming at him. That you see the same thing with everybody that Jon Jones fights. Like people can't process what's going on. The reach is too long. The kicks,
Yeah.
the takedown potential, right? Like all this stuff, the spinning elbows. I mean, I think that plays more of a factor than people want to recognize. The fight IQ, the just experience,
I
man.
think Jon Jones' fight IQ is it's definitely the best fight IQ there is. I ever. And I don't think that's close. I don't think there's an argument there.
And people, I think, diminish it because of the personal characteristics. They're like somebody with that makes such poor decisions in
Yeah.
life couldn't possibly have really great fight IQ. But I think it's nowhere near the next best person.
Well, I mean, there's different like types of IQ, right? I'm sure like I don't know John very well, but I'm sure he might not read at a super high level or like be able to pull off a algebra table. But when it comes to like physical literacy and body awareness in space and stuff like that, Jon Jones's IQ is the highest in the world. And then, you put his siblings and stuff in there. Like he comes from a lineage of people that are just straight up.
Yeah, there's clearly some freaking
Yeah.
genetics that are going on there.
Yeah. So I think John's got the IQ. He was a great wrestler. He got in a little bit of trouble, and that's kind of what deterred him from having a like really long wrestling career. And then he started fighting, and he was in the UFC. I think the crazy stat is Jon Jones started in the UFC at 20 years old and has never lost a fight.
Hmm. And he's 38 now.
Yeah,
18 years,
yeah, 18 years,
unblemished.
18 years and has never lost. That is insane.
I went back and just rewatched the Dominic Reyes fight. Definitely a close fight. But, and again, maybe I'm prisoner of the moment. I thought John won that fight.
I
It
would
was a
I would
close
like to
fight.
go back and watch some of those fights that people think are close.
Hmm.
Um, but another thing that like people need to keep in mind with John is like he does these like flashy techniques, right? Where sometimes people wouldn't advise for those. But if I throw a spinning elbow and it misses, that's an attempt, right? So judges are going to look at that and be like, that dude threw a spinning elbow. He's trying to finish this fight, right? So if it's a close round, they're going to be like, this dude threw, Jon Jones threw two flying knees, two spinning elbows, got a takedown. The other dude landed a 1-2,
Hmm.
right? So that I think is something that people need to understand is like, John kind of with his style appeals to judges. Jon Jones, I wouldn't even say really as a finisher. He finishes fights. Obviously, he finished Stipe. I would like to look at like his percentage of finishing, right?
Hmm.
Especially fighting in 5-round fights for most of his career, right? So like he's in there longer. He should have a higher finishing rate. I think John's probably like I'd say less than 50-50 finishing. His last two fights were finishes, but I mean, off the top of my head, I can think of like five that went to decision.
Yeah, so Stipe, obviously, Cyril Gane sub. Then you got Dominic Reyes decision, Thiago Santos split decision.
That was close. That was the closest fight I think he had.
That was it. And Santos ended up having to have both knees reconstructed
Yeah,
after that fight,
yeah.
right? Then you've got the Anthony Smith unanimous decision, wasn't even close, beat the shit out of Anthony Smith.
Glover.
Gustafson, TKO. Daniel Cormier knocked him out with a kick.
Yeah,
St. Preux, unanimous decision. And I heard him talking about St. Preux, and he said that was one of the toughest fights because St. Preux didn't really have, like, he's like, when I watched him on film, the guy didn't really have a plan with anything. So like it
yeah,
was
that
just
makes
kind of just
sense.
like throwing shit against the wall. And he's like, that was the first fight that I was really just content with trying to get my paycheck and win. Right. But then
He
he looked,
also took a layoff before that fight. That was like his first layoff after suspension because I believe he fought
it was over a
DC.
year.
I think he
Yeah.
fought DC
DC.
right before that, right?
Yeah.
So
And
he fought DC, won that fight via decision where he won every round, and
yeah.
then tested positive for I don't know if it was steroids or cocaine that time, but
Yeah.
test positive for one of them, got suspended.
Teixeira decision, Gustafson unanimous decision, Chael Sonnen TKO,
Yeah,
Vitor Belfort sub, Rashad Evans decision, Machida, he guillotined him to sleep
dopest
standing,
dopest finish ever. That's my dream finish.
Rampage rear naked, Shogun knocked him out with the knee to win the title.
Yeah, at how old? What
He
year was
was
that?
that was in 2011.
2011, 13 years
I mean, dude,
ago.
think about that right there, right?
He'd
You
been
got
23.
Vitor Belfort, you got Shogun, Rampage, Machida, Rashad Evans, Belfort, Chael Sonnen, Gustafson, Glover Teixeira, Cormier.
Legends,
I mean,
legends, legends,
that's where I get frustrated when I
legends
hear
that beat
people talking
legends.
about the Tom Aspinall. Like Tom is the future,
Hmm.
but let's not like the blasphemy that I feel people are like, oh, wouldn't even be close. He's ducking him. Clearly, there's negotiations. I don't think Jon Jones is afraid to fight him.
I don't think
I
Jon
think
Jones
Jon Jones
gives a
just wants
shit.
to make a boatload of money.
Dude,
And it's not an easy fight to go in there and fight Pereira, although I think that it's a much easier fight for him to fight Pereira given his wrestling.
it's a much easier fight. I think Mike said this and like made sense. It's a much easier fight for a probably more money. More
Mhm.
people know who Alex Pereira is
Mhm.
than Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall's good, but like Tom Aspinall's also like kind of. He's like a Swiss Army knife, kind of like John, right?
Mhm.
John is like the ultimate Swiss Army knife, where he can beat you in any way with any limb at all times. Tom's kind of like that. Tom came into the game very very known for his grappling and then started to progress in his striking. Now he's known for his striking. So like John walked so he could run. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I just don't I don't know. I think Tom kind of like, and I get it. He's trying to make money. Didn't go about it the right way, and I think he lost his opportunity. I think if he would have gone about it in a different way of calling out John, he may have got it. But the way he went about it was disrespectful to
He
John.
was disrespectful in a not trying to be disrespectful way. Like he wasn't, I think it would have been better if he would have been a little bit belligerent, like, but instead it was kind of like condescending. It was kind of childish.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. And I think the vets don't like they don't feed in. John's dealt with this shit for he's 18 years.
Hmm.
He won the championship. He said what
In 2011
2011. So he's 30. He would have been 23. It's a year younger than me. He's been a champ for
with a flying knee on Shogun.
yeah.
I
He
remember watching that fight like it was yesterday
did.
and
I
being like,
remember
holy shit.
John was like one of the first dudes I watched. I remember when him and DC were an Ultimate Fighter against each other. I yeah, dude, John was. I mean, he's been that guy forever.
He lives in DC's head rent free too.
Yeah, it kind of
I feel bad, but
sucks because I love
because
DC.
especially now John's like like tries to be so nice and he's like, DC, how you doing? I hope everything's well.
Yeah, he
And it's
doesn't
like it's
mean
easy to
that.
have that
He's
perspective when
doing
you've
that
won.
shit. He's fucking with him. And I love it. It's like yeah, it's a lifelong rivalry, but John won both.
Yeah.
DC, I think the second fight with John was close though. I thought DC was winning when he got knocked out. But John was like making a read,
Yep, setting him up.
setting him up. Yeah, John's the GOAT and Max is wrong.
I
John's
agree.
the GOAT and Max Terrell is wrong.
I would welcome that debate with anybody. And you can't and the debate can't include he's a bad guy, he tested positive. Like I maybe you could throw the steroid thing in there, but he really didn't. Like I don't know, man. I think a lot of guys are on things that they shouldn't be on. I think there's a
100%.
lot of, and that's how I felt about baseball. It's how I feel about football. Is it fair? And is it a little less fair in fighting because you can seriously hurt somebody? Yes. The thing I'm less inclined to believe it based on the testing. I could see that maybe when he was off and trying to gain all that weight and come back that he may have been on something and then there was shit still in the system. But the one story that always sticks with me is that he supposedly like hid underneath the cage when USADA came to test him one time when he was at Jackson's. I think that was a Chael Sonnen story. You never know what
Yeah,
comes out of Chael's mouth if
yeah,
it's true or
but if it's
false.
jail.
That I'm like, okay, that's a little shady
Yeah,
if
but he
that's
could have done
true.
coke the night before, and that's what he was
Exactly.
scared of, to be
Very
honest with
true.
you.
Yeah.
And what he tested positive for was Austrian, right? If
Yeah.
you look at Jon Jones's physique,
Doesn't
well,
look like he's
it
abusing
doesn't
it.
look like he's like a world-renowned bodybuilder.
No.
Um,
And he come again, the brothers, man. That's
yeah,
you got two brothers that are just massive.
yeah, yeah. I don't think, and Austrian's something that is a tainted supplement. A lot of people. Sean O'Malley tested positive for it when he
Yep.
was like built like a stick figure. Um, it's something that can be a tainted supplement. I honestly don't know how much of the steroid argument would be valid for John, but you know, people are gonna argue no matter what. Like I to me he is like the way Mike put it is like he's Wayne Gretzky, right? His stats are just at far and away the best, right?
Hmm.
And I agree. Like I don't think it comes close. I think it's John and then everybody else.
Hmm.
And I don't even know like the like two and three.
GSP's got to be up there.
Yeah, but GSP lost to Matt Serra.
Yeah, it's true.
Jon Jones didn't lose to Matt Serra.
Very
He
true.
didn't lose to anybody close to Matt Serra.
Very, very true. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just don't think, and then Khabib didn't, in my opinion, do
He,
enough.
yeah, I don't think so.
Um, he beat good people, and his wins aged well, but I don't think he did enough. Yeah, I just don't, I don't think it's a real argument. I don't think. I think people are just like anti Jon Jones, and that's why there's an argument there.
Yes, agreed. Agreed. Jake Paul fight too.
Did
I forgot about
I
that.
forgot to put Jake Paul in the GOAT conversation. He might.
You obviously watched it.
I did. I
Yeah.
did. Yeah. Well, as much as I could, Netflix kept crashing.
Dude, I was getting pissed. I actually missed an entire round and a half because it timed out. And so I went back. And then when I reloaded, it was like into the next round. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was definitely frustrated.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I wouldn't have watched it. To
It's
be honest, it was
clear
like, yeah, it was just, I
when you
mean,
watch him fight after you watched two high level boxing
yeah.
matches, set Mike Tyson aside, Jake Paul is not a good boxer. He can, and good
Yeah.
boxer meaning like
Yeah.
you're
World
talking, I
level.
want to fight Canelo. You're talking,
Oh, no.
like, I don't think that he's not working. I don't think that he doesn't have
No.
skills. I think he could come fight in a regional circuit and do well in boxing. He's got the best trainers. He's got the best nutrition.
Hmm.
He's obviously juiced to the fucking gills right now. I thought he looked, I didn't think he looked very good putting on all that weight, but
Yeah, he looked a little chubby, in my opinion. And like people are like, there's no testing. Like he looked like he naturally gained that weight. Like to be honest, in my opinion.
do you think this
Uh
was a Mike Tyson kind of held back to make a payday and that the contract was written in a certain way, or do you think it's just the difference of
oh,
a
I think it's
27-year-old and a
yeah, I think
58
it's
year
the
old?
opposite almost. I think Jake probably in the second or the last two rounds probably could have took him out if he wanted to, but I think he didn't. And it was kind of to save his reputation. And I think it was just like there's not very many things that 58-year-olds can beat 27-year-olds at. It's just that's the way life works. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Um, and Jake just out like athletic him. Um, but Jake also had fought a good fight for his style. Jake's adapted. I think one of the cool things about Jake, and I was like watching all the build up, they did really well, like promoting it, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I think that's one thing we can take away is like maybe we should put events on Netflix, minus the crashing.
Yeah. Fix your
But
servers and we gotta
yeah,
fucking good to go.
Jake, he's so like new to boxing. He's so new in his career. He's only been doing it for 3 years, right? Um, versus Mike, who, I mean, has a certain style that's mimicked across like the entire world. Like we have something in our curriculum called the Tyson combos, right?
Hmm.
It's that head movement in, and then you throw a couple punches and you get out. Um, and I think Jake's gonna be hard to beat because Jake's just gonna get better and can adapt it. Jake doesn't even know what his style is right now. He knows he can punch hard. Um, like he used a jab well. He's still developing his style. So I think that was something that was really cool and something leading into it. I was like, Mike Tyson's side can't really like dissect what Jake Paul's going to do
Yeah.
because he literally could be a different fighter than he was last time, and he was. But Jake's side can game plan for Mike Tyson, because there's so much film, and he's just going to be a slower version of what he used to be. So I think there's a little bit of that, um, and I also think that like just follow the time. That's how it works.
So not the Katie Taylor Amanda Soriano fight, which by the way, great fight. I thought it was a BS decision, but I don't think
Yeah, I
it was as
agree.
egregious as everybody said that it
No,
was. It was a close fight.
yeah, I think it was a close
And
fight.
I don't think that those were deliberate headbutts. I think that's a deliberate way that
It's
she
just how it
fights.
happens.
And
Yeah.
it's kind of like, I wouldn't be happy if I kept getting fucking headbutted like that by a pit bull. But the fight before that,
I missed that. I came
it was a
in.
draw,
Okay.
split decision draw. And yeah, I was watching that and I'm like, these guys, I want to say it was 144. I'm not sure what the weight class was, but I'm like, dude, both of these dudes would piece up Jake Paul. Piece him up. Like it wasn't even close. You're watching the way they throw punches, their footwork. That to me was like, if you know fighting a little bit and you watch these fights that were really good fights beforehand, And then you watch that. I'm like, it's a different level. You're
Yeah, I agree. But I do think so. I think there's two things. So I think there's fighting, right? Which those people, I don't even know their names, right? And
mhm,
that alone should
it's a
kind of,
problem.
yeah, that alone's a problem. There's fighting, and then there's entertainment. And to be successful, you have to combine both, right? So you can either be an exciting fighter, right? Like Jon Jones, for example, or you can be like a entertainer that's also good at fighting, Sean O'Malley. Or you can just be an entertainer, Jake Paul, or you can just be a fighter. But somewhere along the line, you have to be able to mesh them together. Jake started on the opposite end as an entertainer, and he's gaining the skill of becoming a good fighter. I think a lot of other people start on this, like they have this skill and are trying to like act like something or not to be an entertainer. Um, I think that obviously Jake's not going to be as skilled as the guys that have been boxing their entire lives. He's been doing it for like 3 years.
Hmm.
But I also think that, you know, he's going out, he's doing good stuff for the sport.
He is.
He really is. Um, and at like he takes a lot of shit for it, in my opinion. And I honestly think Jake is doing good stuff for the sport. Like for example, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. I didn't know their names like 2 weeks ago, right? Maybe that's on me. But he's spreading women's fighting,
Hmm.
and they got their highest paycheck they've ever got,
It's a good
right?
point.
The people that fought before them, right? They a lot.
Mario Barrios.
I have heard that
Yeah.
name before, I think. But yeah, like he's over here. He's bringing people to boxing. There's probably a ton of people that got on Netflix that day, didn't even know Jake Paul was fighting, and were like, well, fuck it, I'll watch this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's good for the sport. And at the end of the day, do you want to make the sport like better, or do you want to make the sport better than when you came in?
I think boxing's in the best place that it's ever been in right now, right?
I would
And
credit
you
a
got to
good amount of that to
figure
Jake
it to them.
Paul.
100%. Yeah, you got to give credit where it's due.
Yeah, and he gets a lot of shit, and I think, I don't think he should change what he's doing. I don't think like fighting a boxer is the answer. I think that's fucking stupid in my opinion. I think he should keep doing what he's doing.
Yeah, making 20 to 50 million dollars a fight to go fight KSI now.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to do that, I mean, he'll make a bunch of money. He puts some good fighters on the undercard,
Hmm.
and yeah, that's how it is. Oh, I'll tell you right now. All right, here's a good example. Regional fighters in the scene, right? Me, Justin Patton, these guys, right? If Wiz Khalifa fought, he would sell more tickets than all of us,
Hmm.
right? That's just how it works. If you have a name, you're gonna sell
That'd be
tickets.
fun to watch. Dude,
Exactly,
Matt, he can
right?
fucking
He he
fight.
can
He can
scrap. He might
fight.
not be the best example, right?
Yeah, no,
Because
but
he's got a little bit of skill.
that would be really fun to watch.
Yeah, right. And that's just how it works. He has a name, so people are gonna come. They're gonna tune in and be like, "Oh, Wiz is fighting? Holy
Hmm.
shit, Wiz from like the rapper, right?" Nobody's gonna be like, and then like, all right, I'll be like, I'll come in that. Like,
Hmm.
just put me on the undercard. You know what I mean? So I think that's a good example. If you look
Yeah.
at it regional wise and then look at it national wise.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. But
Fucking
what else happened? We had some regional fights.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I'm
more.
afraid to bring anybody up on this fucking podcast. I swear.
Wow.
I just feel like it's been other than you, it's been bad luck. We talk about somebody and
Yeah,
it's like
man.
the Madden jinx, you know? I mean, that's fighting, right?
Yeah, it
That's
is.
fighting, but
It's fighting, and the gym's coming at a we're getting better, right? So when you get better, you have to fight better people,
yeah.
right? And we're also well known. And we need to make some adjustments. Get back to the drawing board, make some adjustments. We did them on Tuesday. We're getting there. Um, we had a string of losses. I'm trying to think like who was on the podcast. Anthony was on the podcast. Luke was on the podcast. Yeah, maybe people shouldn't come
We
on.
we
Maybe till after
talked
the
a lot
fight.
about Josh. It was just like
Yeah, Josh
an all
and
tough fight. Like,
yeah, they were all tough opponents. Like I
yeah.
said, like you're fighting people that are, you're gonna fight better people the more it happens. And losing is a part of this game. Like I'm gonna lose one day. I'm well aware that I know how this game works. But I think that where you have the right coaches, we're gonna get better. We're not people that are gonna like go just rogue and not get better after a loss. Um, I like everybody that lost I've seen in the gym recently. Um, Max, right back to it, right? I think that
Hmm.
loss probably the best thing that could have happened for him. At that point in his career, kid's 20 years old, right?
He's every time I'm at the gym, he's in there.
Yeah, yeah, he's so good. Dude, me and him had a knockdown drag out on Tuesday. I was like, all right, here's what happened. We're going over triangles, right? And I was like, hey, Mike, can we spar with no shin guards? Because we just went over triangles and I'm going to Worlds. So I don't want to wear fucking shin guards because I'm not going to wear shin guards at Worlds. I want to do jiu-jitsu. Um, and I go with somebody, I'm like feeling good. And then I go with Max. Max is probably on the MMA team, the hardest kicker. For most people, when you don't wear shin guards, what it means is I'm not going to kick as hard because that would hurt my shin.
He's got some beefy fucking legs,
To
bro.
Max, what I'm not wearing shin guards meant is this guy doesn't have shin guards on, so he can't block my kicks. So Max just fucking wow, full sends a kick, and I was like, oh fuck. And then he full sends a leg kick, and I still hobbling a little bit, and I was like, and we just scrapped. And I was talking to Mike afterwards because I'm fucking limping around. I was like, that's karma. I beat the shit out of Max for so long. And it was good and I'm happy. But I do think that he that loss is gonna like project him up. His trajectory is gonna be a lot higher because he
Hmm.
took that loss at 20 years old.
Yeah.
He's has 3 amateur fights. He's gonna be active. He's gonna go out and just keep doing the right stuff. Kid doesn't need to go pro for another 2 years. Matt, like he's
Hmm.
got time. He's gonna develop and become. He's probably gonna be like our Tom Aspinall,
Yeah.
our Swiss Army knife, right? We have the most time to pour into him, and he didn't really come with a base, which is what's the coolest part. He's like 100% homegrown guy. Like he didn't wrestle. And then Josh has made like mistakes in his fight. Like he just made some bad decisions, and he would tell you that. Like just for lack of a better term, just dumb choices.
Mm.
He kind of conceded to his back a couple times where Josh has world level jiu-jitsu. And the you can't win a fight off of your back. The reason why is when you're fighting somebody off your back, you're not only fighting the person that is on top of you, trying to punch you and elbow you in the face, you're fighting the time in which is running out and you need to get off your back. And
You're fighting the judges
you're
because you look.
fighting the judges at the same time, right?
Yeah.
You're fighting, there's like so many variables when you're on your back that you're automatically losing and you're fighting, right? So
So,
unless you can get a sub just
and he
like
almost
that,
did a
and he
couple of
almost did a
times.
couple of times,
Yeah.
right? But also, third round comes off your back trying to get a submission. There's other variables. Oh, dude's sweaty, dude's bleeding, right? It's going to be really hard to lock up a joint lock in that amount of
Yeah.
time. Like the only submission, I would like to see the stats on this, but I would venture to guess the only submission that really happens in third rounds of fights is a rear naked choke because you have control over the entire body,
Hmm.
right? Where the slipperiness, the sweatiness of anything, like you're probably not going to get a joint lock. Guillotines, a lot of people can roll out of because unless you really, really jump it, like you don't have as much control over the entire body. Rear naked choke's like the only one you can really like hunker down and
Yeah.
control somebody. Um, but yeah, he was in the third round and like I think first round he had to do an armbar dead to rights. Everybody thought he was gonna win, right? We got up, we were cheering, right? This kid, gangster.
Yeah. He was a tough son of a bitch,
Oh,
man.
super tough, right? He's a very good Division II wrestler at Notre Dame College. He got cut open bad. Huge gash.
Big elbow.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's insane. The picture, I genuinely think if the ref would have like took a second and looked at it, they would have stopped it after the first round. It was like UFC cut and about the worst spot you can have it above the eyebrow, off his back, right? That's probably the most damaging strike you're gonna land off your back,
Yeah.
right? And then, it was just like, I think just wasn't the the best fight Josh could have fought.
It was fairly short notice too. And
Yeah,
not
it was
that that
short
should be
notice.
not that that's an excuse, but like it
Yeah,
is what it is.
yeah, yeah. And but yeah, I don't think it's an excuse. I mean, he's been looking for a fight for a while. We had the date in mind, and then like we kind of were like, nah, we're not gonna do this date, you know. So much so that my childhood best friend, I was gonna go corner, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna corner you. Josh isn't fighting anymore. And then Josh ended up getting a pro debut, and I was like, fuck. So I went and watched Josh. Um, and Josh took that fight maybe 2 weeks notice
Hmm.
against a pretty high level guy. They had the exact same amateur record. It was a good fight. And we lost, but it is what it is. Right? Back to the drawing board. We'll get better.
So who wants to come on next?
Oh, let's give a shout out to let's go positive in the
Yes.
regional scene. Cam Jenkins,
Yeah.
right? So Cam, a lot of people know through me, but a lot of people know from the 247 thing where he fought Malcolm Harris, right? Like,
Hmm.
dude kissed him out of the lands, right? Kind of sucks that he's attached to that forever now. But he didn't have a good performance in that fight. And I think a lot of things were exposed that he just automatically started to work it on an immortal, like his striking. And dude, I genuinely cannot tell you a moment watching a fight. I was sitting there in Morgantown, um, watching it on my phone, bought the pay-per-view, and I've never watched somebody been like more proud or been more amazed at their progression in such a short amount of time. He fought June 29th, and then he turned around and fought November 9th. And I mean, that's what, 4 months,
Hmm.
right? And dude, he beat a legitimate fighter, a dude that was like 3-2. Cam was 1-1, and he probably 10-8'd every round, striking on his feet, took dude down, ground and pound. Won a decision, but it was like so decisive.
Hmm.
And it was really cool. And he did it in near Columbus in Newark, Ohio. Um, and now he's 2-1. And like that,
Just shifts things so
yeah,
much.
that shit storm that happened in June's gone now. You know, he
Yep.
raced it. So you're only as good as your last fight, right? And he is, on the right path. And I was super fucking impressed by his performance. And hopefully he'll be fighting in January in Columbus again. So yeah, so just ending on a positive note on the regional scene, Cam
Hmm.
Jenkins, and he took the nickname I tried to give him forever ago, which is Killer Cam Jenkins.
Oh, that's a
And I
good
was
one.
like, you got to walk out to Killer Cam. He hasn't yet, but it's sick. But yeah, I'm super proud of him. His performance was awesome. Um, he's somebody that I definitely would want on the podcast, and we would be able to just shoot the shit. I mean, we've been like best friends to at 12, so
Really.
yeah. He wrestled at Ashland. He's super talented guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No,
So
shout out
yeah.
Cam.
Shout out Cam. He's not allowed on the podcast until after he fights, just to the Madden curse. We
Yeah,
can't
we got
have
to break
that.
that. We got to break it.
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
Worlds.
Worlds. Yeah.
So when did you make that decision? Is that something you've been thinking about doing, or is that just kind of now after this fight, kind of
Um,
fill in the gap?
yeah, a little bit of that, a little bit of like I have an injury where I can't really fight in December, right? It's not like a something that's gonna like be a long-term thing, but it's like, all right, well, let's not do that. Um, and ironically, when I wrote down my goals for the year, I can like go back and look at them. It was like I'm gonna pull them up. Because I write down my goals every year. Um, and I wrote it down and I'm checking them all off. And I like go on and I check them when I do it. I wrote 2 to 3 pro fights. I originally, when I started the year, I only wanted to fight twice. I wasn't going to fight in February. I was going to wait until like May, right? And then I got a fight opportunity. And I wrote 2 to 3 pro fights. And I thought 3 would be like pushing it. I only wanted 2. And I wrote 2 finishes of the 3 fights, right? If I fought 2, I want to get 2 finishes. And like this has not changed. I have not touched this. And the last thing I wrote was IBJJF Blue Belt World Champ because I went to Worlds last year and I went 3-1. And I was in a 128 man bracket. So I went 3-1. So I believe I made the round of 16 and I just made a dumb error. Like I did it, I made a decision where it was like I was winning and I was like I just did something that was like wasn't smart. I tried to like fucking cartwheel pass in a position that was like I was bored. Like for lack of a better term, like I was
Hmm.
like I need to make something happen right now because it was tied 0-0 and we'd only been going for like maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. But like I have this thing in my head where I'm like I need to make something
I was
happen.
literally just having this conversation this morning with somebody.
Really?
I'm like, my biggest problem is you get some of these guys, they sit down, and Andy Dalton is one of them, right? Andy's a
Oh yeah.
skilled black or a brown belt, long, loves to play the guard, and I just want to like engage.
Yeah.
And I'll sit there and I'm like, okay, now I got to get better at. Nope, I don't like this. I'm gonna step back. But like, I'm a victim of the look that they give me. Like he's sitting there, like hands behind his head, just staring at me like he's bored. And I'm like, okay, motherfucker. Like, and
Yeah.
then the next thing I know, I'm getting sucked into his
You
rubber
can
guard. And
you can play it into their game.
yes, a
And there's
thousand
like it's a
percent.
mental warfare thing and yeah, you fall into like their trap,
Mm-hmm.
which sucks. But yeah, I went there last year. I think I got 2 subs, one decision, grappling this kid. Um I haven't I think it's tied 0-0. I have an advantage. I try this dumbass cartwheel pass. I had like a super big bursa sack issue where like my elbow is fucking huge. I had like a sleeve on it. Kid arm bars me full sense. My arm just like fully extended. And I had basically like a fulcrum point because my boob on my elbow was
Ugh.
so goddamn big. And I was fucking mad. I wasn't mad that I lost. I was mad that I did that, that I was the reason I lost.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I lost skill to skill, I'd be like, nah, all right. But I was like, damn, I could have been top 8 and but I think I could have like maybe made it to the podium. Probably wasn't. I probably didn't have the skill to like be top 3 maybe, but I uh I was just really frustrated with what I decided to do and how I lost.
Mm-hmm.
Because it brought me a lot it brought me back to when I wrestled, especially when I wrestled in college, where I like had this thing in my head, and this doesn't necessarily translate to MMA because in MMA there's judging.
Yeah.
So trying to make something happen gets
Controlling
rewarded.
what you can't control.
What I just explained with John, right? John
Yep.
throws a spinning elbow and the ref's like, "Oh fuck, you just threw a spinning elbow. That's good." Right? And there's give and takes and moments to do shit, but in a point scoring match, like sometimes you can just chill, especially when you're a fucking former Division 1 wrestler and you can just get a takedown to win a
Mm-hmm.
match. So I think that was where I was really frustrated. And the opportunity to grapple at Worlds again is something that I wanted to do the beginning of the year and kind of was just like, nah, maybe not. Right. And now I want to do it just to kind of like go back out there. I love competing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I'll do well. Um, I went 3-1 last year, and
Feel like you're a lot better.
well, I don't even feel like I'm a lot better. I have twice the amount of jujitsu experience that I had
That's a good
before.
point.
Yeah, I had done jujitsu, like legitimate jujitsu, for about a year. In December of 23, I've done jujitsu for about 2.5 years, right? About a year and a half to 2.5 years in December of 24. I feel like I'm good off my back. I think if like it happened to get taken down, I could win matches off my back. I do better against better people in the gym now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I just like I genuinely think I have a legitimate chance of winning it, if not placing. And it's an opportunity I don't really want to miss. Especially if I, end up in the UFC next year or, you know, do something like that. I think just competing at tournaments and stuff like that is something that kind of like I'm almost doing it out of like spite for wrestling and all that shit. Like it pisses me off that like that's something I've always had where I just feel like I'll get to these like huge tournaments and I'll just be like, man, I was good enough after I leave. Like I'll leave and I'll be like, damn, I was good enough. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I could have done it, I just did a dumbass mistake, and I'll
Yep.
like have this like hindsight where now I'm going in with that hindsight, and I know I can compete at the highest level. So I'm really excited. Um, I had a lot of I didn't even really announce it. Kind of just gonna keep it on the DL. I'm gonna fly out to Vegas on a Wednesday and leave on Friday, compete on Thursday. Not fucking around. Business trip.
Mm.
And I hit up a couple sponsors. I hit up Two Fight Bros, who's a sponsor in Phoenix, bought like a ton of my t-shirts, and have they sponsor like some of the local fighters, Anthony Hoagback,
Hmm.
Miguel Francisco, and I believe Max. And they helped me out a little bit, which I appreciate. And Ohio Distributing helped me out. They're a energy drink company, that Tiger Life with Mark Coleman
Oh
one I
yeah,
posted.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's what they do.
yeah, that's what they do. They're also starting a regional MMA promotion in Ohio near Columbus. So maybe in the future I'll fight on that. If not, some of my friends definitely will. And then my biggest sponsor has been from the jump, most consistent sponsor I've ever had, Patrick Cranston. Came in clutch and was like, "Yeah, I got you whatever you need." And he basically gave me more than what I was asking for. And super grateful for opportunities like that, especially like a lot of I compare the jujitsu stuff kind of like wrestling, right? And it reminds me a lot of high school wrestling. In high school wrestling, I was like, I had the talent, but didn't necessarily like have the money to go do some of these huge tournaments, right?
Mm.
Like Fargo, which is like a big national tournament. Like
Hmm.
you go place at Fargo, you're going D1. And I qualified for Fargo all 4 years. Um, and I just never could go. It was like 12 grand or $1,200 to get out there and get everything and do all that. So like I never went. And it's really cool to like be I'm 10 years removed and being able to have these opportunities
Hmm.
and do stuff that, not miss out on
Well, and
stuff.
it's driven by your success, but it's all, I mean, the community. I can't speak highly
Yeah.
enough about Pat. Like he
Oh,
was,
dude.
we got a 5 minute round in this morning at our 6 a.m. open mat on Fridays. We get the breakfast club on Friday mornings. He's there every Friday. I took a couple of weeks off for the tattoo to heal up, and then I was like, I need to get back. Like Friday mornings are just a brutal roll
In
up in
Zealand,
Zealy. Yeah,
is
it's
it Nogi?
Nogi, 6 a.m. There's 8, 10 people there today. Everybody's either a solid blue belt all the way. I mean, there's a couple of strong brown belts that are there, some purple belts. I mean, it's a good mix of guys. They're all bigger than me, other than Ryan Conklin. But Ryan, do you know Ryan?
I know the name
He's
for
I
sure.
mean, dude,
I probably no.
no, I'm not. I say this with all due respect. There's a group of blue belts out of Zealy that like beat the fuck out of everybody. Isaiah,
Oh, dude,
you know
Isaiah's a dog.
Isaiah?
Yeah, I know Isaiah very well.
Yeah,
He competed at another thing that happened, grappling industries.
yeah,
Isaiah was a Isaiah. I told Isaiah, I was like, Brad, you gotta start just entering an advanced division. This isn't fair.
yeah. He's a points machine.
Did
And
he?
and here's the thing, man. When I first started, this is what really frustrates me. Like I'm obviously I don't even I'm not even going to say the word it begins with an E because there's no excuses. But we started like I remember I used to put it to him. I used to put it to that kid, and
Mm,
just over 4 years, the 3 extra days a week that he's there for 3 straight years and the competition experience and the amount that he's invested. Like, I don't know Isaiah well, but I can say, like, that kid puts a lot into trying to get better. And there's a group of guys, him, Ryan, Ginger. Do you know Ginge?
hmm.
Like, all these guys, they're all like four-stripe blue belts that beat the fuck out of other guys. I'm like, you guys are sandbagging. You to your point,
Yeah,
like, get out of this intermediate
those
shit.
they
And
should be going competing at Worlds with us, in
yeah,
my opinion.
yeah,
I believe Isaiah competed at Pans and blue belt and gi.
yeah,
Um, I think he's keeping his blue belt to compete at Worlds and gi.
yeah. which makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I get that to an
I
extent,
do
right?
think though, regionally, like if he's in a grappling industries tournament, he should
Yeah,
go do
move it
advanced.
up.
Yeah, I really think he should, and I think he would do very well. I
Yeah,
watched him compete at the grappling industries tournament. He
strong,
killed it. Oh, he's
super
so good.
strong.
He's so good, dude. I actually met him in like April. I did a grappling industries tournament, and like grappling industries. I don't know if I should say this. If you set up the mats the day before, you get free entry, right? So I wake up 5 a.m., go set up these mats, right? The only person that's there with me is Isaiah. And he was like, we were talking, he was like he knew me from fighting. And I was like, yeah. And then I talked to him, I talked maybe to Mike about him, and he was like, oh yeah, bro, he competes more than anybody,
Hmm.
like at all. He was like,
Yeah.
more than you, more than
Tyler
everybody.
Rubright. There's like all these, they're all little descendants of Alex
Hmm.
up there, right?
Yeah,
They just live it, man. Like there's a whole
it's
crew.
so cool.
You follow any of them on social media, they're always all together. They're always training. I
It's
mean,
cool, man.
it pushes me. I mean, my old ass, I'm like, fuck, I don't want to fall behind. And it's like, it's a race that I'm, and just reality is I can't keep up at this point. I'm
Yeah,
too many responsibilities, too much
yeah.
life, but it gives me a reason to continue to want to push. Like I'm too competitive. We stay at like if I'm doing an open mat on a Monday night after the advanced class, I'm like, okay, and I just get my ass mauled by some of these little fuckers. But
Well, and what you're doing is like you're helping them
yeah,
too,
no,
right?
yeah,
You're
sure.
like a good training partner for him. Like if Isaiah's competing at the World Championships and you're grappling with him on the Tuesday before, right? You're like you could be like his best round that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what one thing like I wish some of the like normal people at Stout would understand is like you guys are so important to the competitors, right?
Hmm.
Like you guys not only keep the gym alive and running and all this, but like my some of my best rounds, well, actually all of my best rounds, the MMA team needs to get better at jiu-jitsu, right? That's a fact. We all know this. The normal people, quote unquote, the regular, everyday people with regular, everyday jobs that come in and just love jujitsu and do it for the sake of loving jujitsu
Yeah.
are some of the best rounds I get. And it's just like such a blessing to be able to have those people. And then when I go out and fight, like you think I'm passing a guard, big like I probably passed it on Jim that I was grappling with on a Tuesday night,
Yep.
6:30 practice, maybe figure something out, right? So like it's such a community, right? And like when I'm in the UFC, it's like, I probably learned this back control thing that I'm gonna hit in a Mike Wilkins class that I took with 60 other people on a Thursday night. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I think that's one of the like super unique things about this gym. Um, and something that's like really cool as we start to expand and like you see our highest level athletes, right? We have a UFC fighter now, we have an LFA fighter, we have me 3-0 pro, we have probably five other pros now. And then a just army of amateurs. Um, I think like it's going to be really cool to watch us expand, watch the gym get bigger,
Yeah.
and watch everybody just like be a part of it because everybody is a part of it. Not only that, you guys are buying tickets and
Hmm.
supporting. We got people that are sponsoring, like
Dude, and the
Patrick,
kids
the
programs,
kids
it's just
programs.
like the next wave of little killers.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's amazing to me that like that's one thing. Talk about having to hold yourself accountable. You know what I mean? You have kids literally looking up to you. They're like, think I'm famous
Mm.
because to them, I am. To them,
Yeah.
I'm like a superstar. Um, so it really is like such a unique thing. And I can't speak, I'll say it, shout it every day. Is like Stout is, such a good place and such a good gym to be at. The community, everything about it. And not only that, you're learning authentic,
Hmm.
authentic fighting arts, right? You're learning authentic
That's
fighting
right.
arts with real fighters, real competitors, real ass people. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it's just such a unique place.
Dude, my kid tells me weekly that he wants to be a world champion. Jon Jones fight. He's 5 years old. I'm probably like a horrible parent. He's like, Dad, does Jon Jones fight tonight? I'm like, yeah. He's like, awesome. Where are we watching it? Not like, can I watch it? It's just in his mind. He's like, I'm fucking watching it. We're sitting down and watching this fight at, midnight. I've got my 5-year-old, and I personally, he's not a bully. He doesn't walk around punching other
Yeah.
kids. He's just into it. He loves it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like that too. Right. And look, now I fight. Right.
Hmm.
And like it really is like a manifestation type of thing. Right. You watch something, grow up like idolizing it, and then like slowly become it.
Yeah.
Right. So I grew up watching The Ultimate Fighter. I watched Jon Jones DC. I watched Chuck Liddell, Tito. Like I watched all the Ultimate Fighter seasons.
Yeah.
Um, and now like it's my life.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
think there's
really
more
unique.
benefit in that. Like, I don't know, man. People like to shelter kids. They don't, I don't hesitate like music, anything. My kids don't swear. They're not, my son's like, he'll sing a song, and then if it's got a swear word in it, he doesn't say it.
Hmm.
Maybe that's wrong. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a bad parent. I mean, he did tell me yesterday, he's like, I was telling my friend at school, there's this guy named 50 Cent. He got shot 9 times. How sus is that? He survived. And I'm like, oh boy, please don't tell your friends about 50 Cent. But
Yeah.
like, it's
I
like,
mean,
there's
yeah.
obviously limits to things. Like, I think it's more less about words and more like there's just certain things that I obviously would not want him to be exposed to. But fighting, if you love it and you want to watch it and you understand he's asking me questions. He's like, what kind of kick is that? I'm like, oh man, I love this. I
Yeah,
love
that's
this. I
sick.
love this.
That's sick. I mean, if like any kid I feel like that puts their energy into it, like there's a lot of kids that come to the gym that like love UFC and love MMA, and it's really cool. The kids self-defense program me and Warren have done in the past 8 weeks. I'm excited for that to grow and potentially have more,
Hmm.
and maybe just add it to the schedule if we can get a bigger audience for that. Potentially go to Zealy and teach some of those kids the kids self-defense
Yeah.
program. Um, and it's really cool because like, kids just like gravitate towards it. And you're gonna gravitate towards it more when like your coach is fighting. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Me and Brittany are like probably the two, me, Brittany, Mason, um, Anthony.
Mason's such a good guy.
Yeah, Mason's a great dude.
I love
And
him.
Mason's been here forever.
Yeah.
And Anthony, who he's pro fighter.
Mason cornered me in my very first I did a Naga like 3 years ago. And I kind of did it as a lone wolf. I showed up, didn't know a whole, like I was always kept to myself. And like he came up, he's like, oh, do you need somebody to like he fucking sat
Yeah.
there for every one of my matches.
Yeah, dude, Mason's a good dude. Mason really is. He's usually at those grappling tournaments for the kids.
Hmm.
He's been doing it forever. Hopefully he gets back in there. He's always fun to watch.
Yes.
Um, he's a beast. And and those kids look up to us. You know what I mean? Like they don't really to them, you're famous. You're a superstar.
Hmm.
So like it really does it gives you like a sense of like accountability and like you got to be doing the right shit. You know what I mean? Like if you
Hmm.
you come in like fucking think you're hot shit, like those kids can read that and they'll humble you.
Yeah. No, they do. Oh boy, won't they?
They will humble you. But if you come in, you're just like a lot like the kids don't know. Some of the kids don't know if I can find out, which is my favorite because I don't want them to know. And then when they find out, they're like, "Really? Like, but you're just a normal, nice guy." And then I can be like, "Yeah, that's what fighters are." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's cool to me because then like and the parents when the parents don't know I fight for and I've been teaching their kids for like 10 weeks and they find out they're like Lucas has a fight coming up like yeah is it like his first one I'm like no he's fucking 3-0 pro he's like really good right and they're like really I had a completely different idea of what fighters were
Mm.
right and then they're like this guy that's been teaching my kids and making jokes about Paw Patrol is a you know what I mean? It's like it's
Absolutely.
such like that's a very unique thing, and you can kind of change the trajectory of like people's thought processes on fighting.
I told him this morning, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go do a podcast. He's like, with Lucas? I'm like, yeah. And then he like instantly goes into a flying knee. He's like, isn't this just what Lucas does? And I'm like, that's the fly, yeah, that's flying knee, buddy. Like
Yeah.
it's just they to your point, like they look at you in a light,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a big part of my accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Like knowing he likes it and has been exposed to it because of me. It keeps me when I'm like waking up and I'm like, fuck, man, I'm old. I'm getting old.
Mm-hmm.
He pushes me and makes me excited to want to keep doing it and setting an example for him. I cannot stress that enough for parents. Like I see a lot of dads, and hey, kudos to them. Like it's not a criticism. They take their kid, they're at class. But I've seen a couple of the kids that they've fallen out, and I'm like, man, if you wouldn't sit there on your phone the whole time and maybe like get your hands dirty a little bit. I don't know. Like that's
Yeah.
easy for me to say, and it's probably
Yeah, for
unfair for me to
sure.
say, but I I think it's given me a whole new purpose, an additional purpose on top of everything else to like motivate them.
Yeah, and your kid's gonna, even if it isn't like that,
Yeah.
right? They're gonna be like, um, see that you're working hard towards something and
Hmm.
be like, hey, if I work hard towards this, like you bring the belt promotions, you get your blue belt or your purple belt, and they're like, oh, if I work hard towards this, everybody's gonna like see it, right? My
Hmm.
coach is gonna see it, and then all these people that are clapping for my dad,
Hmm.
right? And then all right, I can go put that effort into soccer,
Yeah.
right? And
100%.
that's
It
how it
translates.
works. Yeah. And like being able to speak things into existence. Like I'm around like my girlfriend's daughter a lot, and I was sitting there and she was like, "Yeah, just like Simone Biles." And she's
That's
like,
awesome.
I'm gonna speak it into existence." And I was like sitting there and I was getting my hair cut at the time. I
It's
was
the
like,
little
"That's the
things,
shit."
man. The
Yeah.
little things.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because you're a product, like they see you. You're
Yeah.
around them all the time.
Oh, kids take in a small amount of what you
They're
say
so
and 90%
impressionable.
of what you do.
They're so impressionable, right?
Mhm.
So just speak positively, treat them positively, and like the kids you teach, your own kids, whoever you're around, and like it's gonna translate. It's gonna be
Mine's keeping
huge.
me from eating. He's like, you got to cut weight, Dad. You can't have that for dinner tonight. I'm like,
You're like, Dad,
"Ugh."
you told me candy. You told me candy's bad. Why are you eating candy?
Yeah, man.
Like,
It's
fuck.
yeah, absolutely.
Fuck.
Speaking of accountability, I want to make sure before we drop push-up contest or competition. Like you threw this out there. I was like, okay, okay, I like it.
I like it for a couple reasons, right? So I want to do a push-up contest. One, I think there's a lot of like mental health shit that happens in the winter. For
Mm,
me, it's big. Like
yeah,
that's when my stuff kind of like um starts to fall
the
off,
winter
right? The
blues,
winter
right?
blues, right? It's fucking snowing outside, right? It's hard to wake up. Two, a lot of people don't get to like their everyday training, right? Like the gyms are going to be a little weird during the holidays and stuff.
People get busy.
People get busy.
Yeah.
And three, I just want to do some push-ups, right? So I think what we're thinking and to get the kids involved in it, like we just said, like the parents can be doing push-ups, kids can do it with them and join along. For the next from the 25th of November, right? We be able to have this up by then.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
What is that?
25th,
What is the 25th? Monday?
it is the 22nd. So yeah,
Yeah,
25th of
that'll work.
November to Christmas, right? 250 push-ups each
A day.
a day for the adults,
Yep.
100 for the kids, right? So I think that's pretty reasonable, but it's hard as fuck,
Hmm. It's
right?
not as hard though as people think. Like I know this is probably
Yeah,
why you threw this at me. Like,
I've
so
done it before. That's
my
why.
it's hard if
Yeah,
you try to if you're now listen, if you're fucking lazy and you wait until the end of the day and you haven't done your 250 push-ups, it's gonna
yeah,
suck.
yeah.
You
But if
know?
you wake up, rep out, 2 sets of 20, you're already like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I start every day 100 push-ups and 100 slant board squats, and I
yeah,
do them in 20 sets of 25. So I'll do 25 push-ups, 25 squats, take like a 30-second break, 25 push-ups, 25 squats, do 4 sets. That's my warm-up every day, no matter if I'm doing cardio, a heavy lifting. And I've been doing it for almost a year now. And I started to do the math. I'm like, there's a couple of times where I'm like, you know what? I missed it a day. Like I'm not perfect. I've done more push-ups in the last year than I've probably done in my entire fucking life.
yeah.
And it shows like my strength is at a different level and it's a different kind of strength. It's a density, a
Hmm.
cardiovascular, muscular endurance. And I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, 250. I'm like, what I'm going to do, just if anybody else wants to get on this little wagon. So I'm going to do my morning like I always do, but instead of doing 100, I'm going to do 125. and then
throughout the day. And
throughout the
at night.
day, and then I'll have, another 125. Like the worst case scenario is before bed, I'll do my,
You'll probably rep them out with your kids.
yeah, I'll just
Yeah. Like, yeah.
do 125 along with their 100, right? So
Yeah.
that was kind of the way I'm thinking about it, but
And
or split it up throughout the day.
so the cool thing is like, all right, I was doing the math and like doing it on a calculator. If just me and you do 200 and 50 push-ups for 30 days, that's 7,500
Mm-hmm.
times two. That's 15,000 push-ups done,
Mm-hmm.
right? You add people, I bet we could get like if we get the stout community, there's like that's
We
we
got to
get like
figure out a way.
100,000 push-ups.
So
Like
we'll
people,
definitely clip
the
this and we'll get it out
health
there.
thing, you
But
know, it's
we need to
super
get
cool.
people. So we're trying to grow we created a new Instagram page
Hmm.
outside of our own personal pages
Hmm.
for the podcast, right? Um, let's make this fucking interact. Like I want to get people posting, sharing it. Like to your point, like let's get everybody doing this because it exponentially reaches more people. And as cool as it is, like what just on the surface, to your point, like getting more people to do this or see you doing it, it's going to affect people in a
Hmm.
positive way. So I'd love to, we got to figure out a way
Dude,
to just like get everybody talking about it,
yeah.
sharing it.
The reason I was doing it, I remember when I did it in college, I lived by myself in college for like 3 months, and I was like, I think I was doing 500 a day, and because I had to like gain weight, and I remember just going to bed. Granted, it was hard as shit, but just going to bed proud,
Feeling so accomplished.
so accomplished, dude. I'd be like, man, I did 500
And by the
push-ups
way,
today.
you're not going to my biggest fear and it was probably my own, like trying to create the reason to not do these every single day. But I was like, oh, I don't want to overtrain my chest. And it's like,
That's not how it
it's
works.
not going to happen.
No.
You are going to be fucking hard as a rock,
Yeah, I'll do them the day I
strong as
compete in
shit.
Las Vegas. I'll do
Yep.
them. I'll be repping out some push-ups before I go out and
Yep.
have my finals match,
Absolutely.
right? And I want everybody to, maybe do a little video of you and whoever, right? Say, however many you did, whoever you're with, and let's see how many push-ups we can get done throughout the stout community.
Dude,
I think that would be the coolest
that
thing.
would be really
To be
cool.
like everybody's like, yeah, I did mine, and we add it all up. I bet we can get to 100,000.
Wouldn't that be badass?
It'd be
Dude,
sick.
if we can do that, then I think what we've got to do is do it again. And
Hmm.
maybe not even, maybe we do it for a different reason earlier in 2025 and try to raise some cash for
That's
it.
what I was thinking for charity or something.
Yeah.
If we would have had a little bit more time, especially with the holidays and stuff
Could have
like
set
that.
something up and donated it to a really good cause.
Yeah, I think it would be a really cool idea. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think it'll be a fun thing, and I'm excited to do some push-ups, get my titties nice and perky
Yeah, of course.
for the Christmas season.
Absolutely. Good stuff, man. Anything else we need to cover?